Chapter 39, Lynn. I wake up to giggling, which is never a good sign. Not wanting to give away that I'm awake, I try to keep my breathing even. I don't feel anything abnormal against my skin, so that's good. I crack my eyes open to see Sean and Parker, my 6-year-old twin brothers. They're trying to sneak into my room with water guns. I slowly move my arm to the other side of my bed. When they aim and start counting down, I raise the water gun from the other side of my bed and spray them, catching them completely off guard. "Retreat!" they yell as they run out of my room and down the hall. I get up and start getting my stuff ready for a shower, waiting for my mom to come in my room. It takes less than 3 minutes. "Your brothers are wet, and they say it's your fault. Care to explain why that is?" She raises her eyebrows with her I'm not amused face in place. "I woke up to them sneaking into my room with water guns. A preemptive strike was in order. On the upside, they have to change for their game anyway, and no blankets got wet." I keep my face neutral. "You're the older sibling and over a decade older than them. You should be setting an example, not launching preemptive strikes." Mom looks like she doesn't want to be getting on my case, but like she still has to go through the motions. I set an example of always being prepared and showed them the consequences of not having situational awareness. "Don't you and Dad always say we should be prepared for anything?" I ask a little too innocently. "Uh-huh. Maybe next time you could put all the water guns in the shed where they belong and make sure it's locked. That way there are no water guns in the house." "Yes, ma'am. There's no way I'm putting my water gun up, but I can make sure the rest are secured." "Good. Since you're up, do you want to help me with breakfast?" "Sure. I'll take a real quick shower first." When I get downstairs, Mom is already frying bacon and sausage. "Will you start on eggs?" she asks. "On it." I pull 2 cartons out of our fridge. "So," she starts, "I noticed Mark was absent from 5th quarter last night." "I already told you we broke up. He probably went to Watkins' house after the game. Tristan said they were having a victory party there." I begin cracking eggs into a pan. "Watkins? Isn't that the boy who wrecked his car into a tree last year?" Yeah. I was sort of hoping Mom might have forgot about that." "You weren't hanging out with him when you were dating Mark, were you?" "No, Mark wasn't interested in hanging out with his friends or mine when we were dating." "What's that supposed to mean?" Mom raises her eyebrows at me. "Nothing," I shrug. "He'd rather go places by ourselves than with a group. Look, I broke up with Mark, but I don't want to talk about it. He isn't the guy for me, and that's all." I put the empty cartons in the trash can with more force than is necessary. I'm tired of having to deal with questions about Mark. I wish I'd never agreed to go out with him. "Okay, we don't have to talk about it, but I'm always here if you want to talk. Even if you haven't told me what's going on with you this week, I know something's up. I know Daniel stayed here Thursday, and he didn't stay in the guest bedroom like he's supposed to." "Nothing happened. It's just Daniel." As annoying as it is to get lectured about Daniel staying in my room, it's familiar territory and far less uncomfortable than talking about Mark. It's not like it's the first time we've had this conversation since junior high. I get where my mom is coming from, but Daniel is like a brother to me. She doesn't care when I crash in Xander's room. "I trust you and I trust Daniel, but trust is a lot easier to break than it is to build." I figure I'm going to have to give her something, even if I don't want to talk about it. My parents have strict rules and high expectations for our behavior and achievements, but my mom can be pretty laid back as long as we're honest with her. I'm sure she'd drop the issue entirely if I told her about my panic attack on Wednesday, but then she'd go into helicopter mom mode, and I don't want to deal with that again. Besides, it was just the one attack. Daniel's parents blew him off when he tried to see if they'd come to a game this year since he's on varsity. That's why he came over in the first place. I asked him to stay because I haven't been having a very good week. I focus on scrambling the eggs in front of me. Mark keeps going back and forth between trying to talk me into getting back together and being mean and hateful. I told him I don't want to get back together, but it's like he can't hear me or doesn't want to listen. I want him to leave me alone, but don't know how to get him to. Mom pulls the bacon off the stove while she talks. "I'm sorry Daniel's parents don't make his games a priority, but if he's staying over, he doesn't need to be in your room. He needs to be in the guest room. You both know that. Otherwise, he can stay in the guest house. You might just be friends, but that doesn't mean you should be sharing a bed." "Gross, Mom. We didn't share a bed," I interrupt her. "He slept on the trundle bed. We didn't do anything wrong." My face scrunches up at the thought of doing anything with Daniel. Even if nothing happened, you still broke the house rules. My mom turns to give me one of her scary mom looks before focusing on cooking the sausage. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I'm glad that Jet stayed in the night room last night, or I'd be in even more trouble. He stays with us when his mom has to work super late or super early, or in the case of this weekend, when she has to do both. You should think about what kind of example you're setting for your younger brothers. And before you try to justify it by saying you got Daniel out of your room before any of them were up, that's definitely not the point. Even though he left your room before 6, I still knew about it. I'll keep that in mind, especially the part about you apparently being all-knowing. Seriously, how did my mom know what time Daniel snuck into the guest room? Now, as far as Mark goes, are you sure it's over between you two? You were barely together before you broke up with him. Maybe he seems so hot and cold because he cares about you but is hurting. I scooped the eggs out of the pan and into a bowl. I'm sure it's over. I don't like him that way. He went to Watkins' party last night. He probably drank. Even if I was allowed to, I don't want to date someone who drinks or parties. Which is true. I want to play basketball professionally someday. I don't need a bad decision or a high school scandal affecting my future. But I know it'll help get my mom off my case about Mark. I hope he didn't. He seemed like such a nice boy. But if you say it's over, then I'll leave it alone. She hugs me. Thank you. Just when I thought this interrogation was over, Mom asked, How has Josh been? He's fine. You should know that. You saw him yesterday. I did see him last night, and he spent most of the night glued to your side. What's going on there? Nothing's going on. We already dated last spring and decided we were better off as friends. We're good friends, but we're just friends. I'm not interested in anyone right now. Okay, I can take a hint. Mom lifts her hands in surrender. Will you go get the boys while I get the food on the table? Of course. I head upstairs to tell my brothers breakfast is ready. I fire off a text to Daniel, Oliver, and Grayson to see if they're up and want to come over for breakfast. I hope my mom's true to her word and doesn't bring Mark or Josh back up. By the time I get back to the kitchen, Daniel's already there talking with Xander. Jet looks like a zombie but is awake and sitting at the table. I check my phone but haven't heard back from Oliver or Grayson. They probably aren't up yet. Breakfast goes by without any more awkward conversations. The twins have a soccer game today, so my parents and 3 youngest brothers will thankfully be out of the house when Andrew comes over to work on our project. Jet leaves right after breakfast, saying he has laundry and stuff to do at the apartment before coming back over for the dance later. The rest of the morning passes relatively quickly as Xander, Daniel, and I work on our homework. How are you feeling about girl time now? Daniel asked after my parents leave for the soccer game. We're sitting on the living room couch. Xander headed up to his room to practice for his upcoming play. I'm hoping since I didn't agree to it until yesterday that it won't be too much. Callie will be there, and she's the little sister I never had. And from what I saw of Sarah last night, she seems pretty cool. The jury's still out on Kaylee, but hopefully I can get to know her better and find out if she's a good match for Ollie. Try not to go overboard with asking her 1,001 questions. Oliver really likes her. Please try not to scare her away. Daniel crosses his arms. I would never, I protest, but Daniel shoots me a look. I'll try hard not to? That seems more honest. I only scare girls away from Ollie who are no good for him. Is it so bad I don't want girls like Tara getting a hold of Ollie and taking advantage of him? Daniel raises an eyebrow at me. I seem to recall your efforts to scare her away from Oliver ended up in her fling with Jet. That wasn't intentional, I protest. But be real, Jet's more of a fling type of guy anyway. He isn't going to get invested in a girl who decides they only want to fling, then get hurt when it ends. Ollie, on the other hand, is too nice for his own good. He's still a big boy who can take care of himself, Daniel says. If he wants to pursue Kaylee and gets hurt, let him. We'll all be here to pick up the pieces and help him through it. Don't baby him. You know you wouldn't do the same thing if it was any of the rest of us. His face tells me he really means what he's saying, so I make a mental note to try not to be overprotective of Oliver. I already said I'll play nice, I huff. Can we go play horse until Andrew gets here? Daniel gets up from the couch. Sure. Also, Xander said he has to go pick Amelia up. I told him I could hang out with Andrew while you have girl time. I wish we could switch and you could deal with girl time, I complain. Yeah, the woes of having an involved mother. Daniel playfully shoves me before heading into the backyard. More like the woes of having a uterus. I follow him outside.